I had never been stopped by a cop on a random day before, at least not one who didn't have a good reason. But this time it was different. I was cruising down the highway, windows down, letting the warm spring air rush through the car. I had just finished up a meeting with a partner agency, nothing too exciting, just another routine briefing, but one that had me feeling accomplished. My car, a sleek black Dodge Charger, hummed beneath me as I drove back home. Life was moving forward at a steady pace, and I was enjoying the quiet of the drive. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and tell us where you are listening. Your support means everything. That peace was shattered when I saw the flash of red and blue lights in my rearview mirror. At first, I didn't panic. I had a clean record, and I knew I wasn't speeding. I pulled over to the side of the road, turned off the engine, and waited for the officer to approach. The officer, a tall, broad-shouldered man in his mid-40s, took his time as he walked to my car. He didn't seem in any particular rush. His boots clicked against the pavement, echoing in the otherwise quiet moment. When he reached my window, he didn't immediately speak. He just stood there, eyeing me. "Is there a problem, officer?" I asked, trying to sound calm. His eyes narrowed slightly. "License and registration," he said, his voice flat and impersonal. I handed him my ID and the registration for my car. He glanced at both, not saying a word. The silence between us hung in the air, thick with tension. I didn't understand it at first, but the longer he stood there, the more I felt something off about the situation. He looked at my ID again. "Agent, you're an FBI agent?" "Yes, sir," I said, still trying to keep the tone casual. "Is there a problem?" His eyes flicked to the car, then back to me. "Funny," he said, his voice taking on an edge. "Funny how a black man driving a car like this doesn't raise any eyebrows." I blinked, taken aback. "What do you mean by that?" "You heard me," he snapped. "That car doesn't belong to someone like you. Looks like a stolen car to me." He didn't even give me a chance to respond before he started talking again. "Step out of the vehicle." A knot formed in my stomach, but I did as he said. I was trained to stay calm in situations like this, but I couldn't help but feel a wave of anger rising within me. "Sir, I'm not sure what you think is going on here, but this car is mine. I'm a federal agent, and I'm just trying to get home." He didn't seem to care. Instead, he was pulling his radio to his lips. "I've got a black man in a stolen car, requesting backup." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My mind raced. Stolen car? I wasn't sure what to do. Should I show him my badge? The fact that I was an FBI agent should have been enough. But I knew how this looked: a black man in a high-end car, stopped by a cop with an agenda. What if I wasn't believed? My hands shook as I reached into my jacket to pull out my badge. "I'm an FBI agent," I said, holding it up in front of him. "I'm off duty, but I can assure you, this car is mine." He glanced at it for only a second before his expression hardened even more. "I've seen fake badges before." "You're not fooling me." My heart was pounding now. I didn't know how to respond. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. It was a clear case of racial profiling. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized this officer wasn't going to let me off easily. He had already made up his mind. "I'm not leaving this spot until you prove this is your car," he said, ignoring my badge entirely. His voice had a hard, accusatory edge to it. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. "Listen, officer," I said, my voice measured but firm. "I'm not going to argue with you. You can run the VAN number. The car's registered to me. And I can give you my federal credentials if you'd like. But I'm telling you right now, this is a misunderstanding." He didn't seem interested in listening. The more I tried to explain, the angrier he seemed to get. His grip on the radio tightened, and I could see the veins in his neck bulging. "Just stay put," he said, his voice laced with frustration, as if I was the one causing all the problems. At that moment, something clicked in my head. This wasn't just about a car. This was about race. The officer was going to make this about race, whether I liked it or not. He had already decided. I didn't belong behind the wheel of a car like this, and no matter what I did, no matter what badge I showed, I was never going to be able to convince him otherwise. Minutes passed, though it felt like hours. Another cop car arrived, and 2 more officers stepped out. I could feel the tension rise as they started questioning me, but they didn't ask anything that made sense. They didn't check my ID properly, nor did they offer any kind of apology for the inconvenience. They simply hovered around, their eyes on me, waiting for something, anything to give them a reason to escalate the situation. "Get him out of the car," one of the officers said to the original cop. his voice sharp. Before I knew it, they were pulling me out of the car, roughly, as if I was some kind of criminal. They shoved my hands behind my back and started cuffing me, all the while accusing me of being someone I wasn't. I felt like I was suffocating in the moment, every breath sharp and strained. "Where's your proof this car is yours, huh?" the officer barked. "Because I don't believe you." And then, like a slow-motion train wreck, everything changed in a split second. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I reached down and glanced at the screen, seeing the name of my superior at the FBI. I didn't think. I answered the phone, my voice shaking with a mixture of anger and disbelief. "Agent," my superior's voice came through. "What's going on?" "I've just been informed you've been stopped by an officer." "What's the issue?" I glanced at the officer standing over me, still holding my arms. "I've been accused of driving a stolen car," I said, my voice low but clear. There was a brief silence on the other end of the phone before my superior spoke again. "You're an FBI agent, correct?" "Yes." "Hold tight. We'll take care of this." The line went dead. A moment later, my superior pulled up in a black SUV, and I could see him get out, his expression unreadable. He approached the officer who had been harassing me, his tone stern. "What's going on here?" my superior asked. The officer was taken aback, clearly not expecting anyone with any authority to intervene. "This man is driving a stolen car," he said, but his voice lacked conviction. My superior didn't flinch. "He's an FBI agent," he said flatly, "and I suggest you look up his credentials before you make any more mistakes." The officer's face turned white. He mumbled something about running the plates again, but I could tell from his body language he knew he was in trouble. The truth was, he'd been caught red-handed. His career, his credibility, all of it hung in the balance because of his assumptions about me. The aftermath of that encounter was swift and unforgiving. Within hours, the officer who had pulled me over was placed on administrative leave, and an internal investigation was launched into his actions. The other officers who had been involved were questioned, but they were quick to back off from the situation, claiming they'd been following orders. The fallout for the racist cop was even worse. News of the incident spread quickly through the department, and within days, it became a public scandal. The department issued a statement apologizing for the officer's conduct, but it was clear that this was just the beginning of a much larger reckoning. Within a week, the officer had been fired. His career was over. As for me, the situation was a wake-up call. I was used to dealing with criminals, to dealing with the worst of society, but I had never felt so powerless in my life. It wasn't just a fight for my job, it was a fight for my humanity, a reminder that no matter how far I'd come, the color of my skin still meant something to some people. It wasn't easy. The anger lingered. But what I realized in the days that followed was that this moment didn't define me. It was just one more hurdle in the long race for justice. And it wasn't over. Not by a long shot, but at least for now, the officer's career was finished, and that was justice in its own right.